May is 3 years. So I mean that's the critical part. We need to understand that the difference between them is 3 years. So for example, when Mary is 6, we add 3 to 6, it will become 9, and then the answer is 9. It's like Amy is 9 years old. So similarly, I mean when Mary will be like 17 years old, we add this 17 by 3, this number by 3, and then Annie will be like 20 years old. So in this case, the answer is 20. And then for question 2, according to the pattern shown below, what is the number like in the blank? So this one. So for the first number is 18. For the second number is 22. For the third number is 30. So we try to find a pattern here. It's like 18 plus 4 equals 22. 22 plus 8 equals to 30. 30 plus 12 equals to 42. So it's like 1 by 1. We know that like for each number, the difference will be increased by 4. So it's 4, it's 8 here. It is set 12 for the from third to fourth, and then it's 16 from fourth to fifth. So vice versa, it will be 20 and it will be 24 for the last one. So when we know the difference is 24, we know the number should be 78 plus 24, and the answer should be 102. So that's for question 2. Question 3, 16 children form a column. So Amy is also like one of the children that forms the column. And then there are 4 children in front of Amy. How many children are behind her? So we know that in front of Amy there are 4, but we need to also consider that Amy is also one of them. So we need to like add 1 to the to 4. So we assume that 16 children, there are 5 children in front of Amy and include Amy herself. So we are in this case 16 minus 5, or maybe you could like do it in this way: 16 minus 4 and then minus Amy, which is 1. And then the answer is 11. So there are 11 children behind Amy. And then for question 4, so this is 1 times 1 square. It is a 3 times 3 square. It is 5 times 5 square. It is 7 times 7 square. So we know that like for each group, when we increase group number first, second, third, fourth, when you increase the group number by 1, and then or the group order by 1, in this case, the length and the width or the side length of the square will be increased by 2 units, or maybe like 2 squares. And then we know that like for the 5th one, we assume that it should be 9 times 9. For the 6th one, the one we are finding, it should be 11 times 11. So for the 11 times 11 square, it will have a similar pattern for the stars. So we know that the first row and last row should be filled with stars. So it should be 11 plus 11. And then for the first column as well, it should be 11. So we assume that you might think that the answer is 11 times 3, because there are 3 rows and columns, and then it should be 33. But we need to like deduct 2. It's like that we have 2 corners that we that we have them count. So the answer is 33, or we just 11 times 3 minus 2. So the answer is 31 for this one. You could like change the alphabet as long as you understand that C is the 3rd letter in the English alphabet, and then E is the 5th one, H is the 8th one, and then L is the 12th one. And then vice versa, you could understand that when you convert it into letters, into number, it would be like 3, 5, 8, and 12. The difference is like 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you could see the difference is 1 by 1. Please don't try to say the answers. Thank you. And then, so it is like similar to the question 2. So in this case, we know that it should be 12 plus 5, which is the 17th of the English alphabet. So the answer is definitely, as one of the students say, is Q. But please don't try to. Please don't try to say the answers publicly. You can try to. Of course, you could like try to like message me in private, but I'll try to like go through it like 1 by 1 and in details. So for question 6, April 3rd, 2021 is Saturday. So which day of the week is May 2nd this year? So it's trying to testing you the knowledge that 7 days a week. So for in this case, April 10th, which is 7 days after April 3rd, is also Saturday. It's like it just repeats itself. So in this case, 10th is Saturday, 17th is Saturday. So you could like have a list here like 10th, 17th, and then 24, and then 31, which is 1. That means 31 is like April 31, right? But April like has 30 days only. So in other words, 31 is May 1st. So in this case, we know that May 1st is Saturday, and then definitely May 2nd is Sunday. So I believe it is quite easy to understand, as long as you realize 7 days per week, and also calculate like how many days between April 3rd and May 2nd. Of course, you could use like a calendar to help you. I mean, if you don't really get it, I mean, for this question, but I mean, try to familiar with this kind of question. So for question 7, because like as I mentioned, it's easier to calculate when you have all the numbers like n in 0. So in this case, when we try to combine two of them to form numbers with 0, I mean to form numbers with n's with 0. That. So in this case, 28 plus 22 is 50. 34 plus 16 is 50, and then 17 plus 13 is 30. So when we combine them, we have two 50s and one 30, and then it will be much easier for our calculation, and we will find the answers very quickly. Is 130. While the host will start. Daniel, I mean, what are you asking about? It's like, I think there's no match here. I don't know whether you have missed something or maybe like you just missed it. So for question 8, so when we go to question 8, so we have A and then AB. So in this case, of course, we might have like to have try different cases, but we could try to eliminate them. I mean, try to minimize the range into like 1 or 2 choices, and then we could try them one by one. Of course, sometimes there might be just only one choices, and that's the only answer. So we know that A, there's no 10th digit here, so A have something with it. There might be a carry, but we don't know. So we assume that there's not, but you could assume that there might be the cases that there's a carry. So A can be 1 or 2, depends on whether there's a carry or not. So in this case, let's assume A is 1. So if A is 1 here, A is 1 here. So B, even if it's the largest, this is 9, the answer will be 20. So I mean, it doesn't make sense. So in this case, A must not be 1, A must be 2. So we know that A is 2, A is 2. In this case, B definitely must be 5. It's like it's very easy to understand that A is 2, 20, and then A is 2 here, 2. So 22, 27 minus 22, B is 5. So since B is 5 and A is 2, B minus A is 3. So that's the answer for question 8.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yeah?
That's the equation with carrying.
Excuse me?
But in the question it says with carrying.
Oh.
Confusing, you know.
I think sometimes they did try to make you like confusion, but even if you try to assume there's a carry, it doesn't make sense if it is A is 1. Because like you have only 2 choices. A whether it's 1 or 2. So if A is 1, and then even if you try with the carry, it's like if A is 1, if you want to make the answers, or maybe you try to make 10s, there's a carry to 10. In this case, B must be 9. But even when b is 9, d is 1, the answer is 20. I mean, the maximum value is 20, and you cannot be higher than 20, but the answer given is like 27. So there's a contradiction here. So that means the carrying must be like, I mean, just confusion or just trying to
So
trick you.
is the problem wrong?
It's not the problem wrong. They're just trying to confuse you. I mean, it's just sometimes they try to make question confusing and try to make you to think about there might be a carry. But I mean, you could try to eliminate this choice. I mean, eliminate that the possibility of having a carry just by setting a into different values. It's like a can be only 1 or 2. So you try to set it 1. So you try to set it with 1. It's like if a is 1, there will be a carry. And that if a is 1 is wrong or it contradicts with the answer given, that means the carry is just like is used. I mean, the carry mentioned in the question is try to confuse. It's not a real hint. It's not a real direction or instruction. You just need to ignore it and do in the correct way, or just try to do the answer that has not been eliminated. So that's how the Olympiad work. Because sometimes they will try to trick you. I mean, it's like sometimes the question itself is not difficult, but it try to trick you. So that goes to like question 9. So for question 9, I think this one is just like testing your calculation skills. So as long as you know how to multiply, and then as long as you know how to add it together, you find the answer. So 5 times 40 is like 70, and then 10 times 4 is 40, 20 times 4 is 40, and then we have 2 40s and 1 70s. So when we add them together, the answer is 150. So this one is testing about your whether you know how to multiply, and then whether you know how to add it together. So I believe the hard part is multiplication, something like that. So for question 10, similarly, they are just testing you the skills to find out how to divide numbers. And then you might think that, so we didn't know like how to divide it, like 17 divided by 4. But of course, since all of them is divided by 4, you can see 17 divided by 4, 21 divided by 4, 7 divided by 4, and 1 divided by 4. So in this case, you could try to add them up together and divide them together. Of course, the number is like, it is not the, the number is still, it's quite easy to find the answer as long as you know how to combine it. So first, we just, extract the divided, or we just ignore the divided by 4 part. So 17 plus 21 is 38, right? 38 plus 7 is 45. 45 minus 1 is 44. So we know that the answer when we ignore the divided by 4 is 44. And then we have the answers, or the sum of these 4 numbers divided by 4, which is 44 divided by 4 is 11. So the answer is 11. Of course, if you know how to if you know the concept of decimals, you can try to do it with decimals. But of course, the better way is try to add them together and then have the sum divided by 4. So that's how we do for question 10. For question 11, so we find the value of such number. So first, we'll try to see how the pattern goes. So let's see if there's like any pattern here. So first, we'll try to see like for some of them, and then check whether there's a pattern. So 1 plus 2 plus 3. This one should be 6, and minus 4, it should be 2. So let's write down for our reference, just for reference. So this is the first 4 numbers, And then 5 plus 6 plus 7 should be 18. So minus 8 equals 10. So let's see whether there's some sort of relationship here. So we'll do the third one. This is 30 minus 12, 18. So as long as we can see here, there's some sort of pattern here, if you know what's happening. So the first three, I mean, we know that 4 numbers form a group, right? Forms a smaller group. So in this case, there's 10 groups. It's like 4 number for a group, so 40. So we assume that there's 10 groups. So the first group is 2. I mean, the remaining number is 2 after subtraction. The second group is 10. Difference between 2 is 8. And this one is 18. So we have some sort of like equation here like this one. Since this one should be 26, 18 plus 8, 24. So we'll find that when we keep adding it, the answer should be 18 in the end for the last one. It's 18. Oh no, it should be 74. So we have 10 groups. So in this case, it should be 74. Yeah. So 74 is the last one. So when we know that it's 2 plus when it's 2 plus 10 plus 18 plus 36 plus 34 plus 74. So we know that maybe I should write the whole thing. So it might be much clearer here. I mean, I'll write down the all numbers here. It's like there's something I want to show you. So when you have 10 groups, the number becomes here. So we know that the groups and the remaining number. So we add them all together. So you can see that 2 plus 74 is 66. It's 76, right? 10 plus 66 is 76. 18 plus 58 is 76. So there are 5 groups of 76. The answer is actually 76 times 5. So it should be 450. So that's how we do for question 11. And then, oh, sorry, it should be one less. Just let me try to edit. So when you have this one, and then 2 plus 10, and then this one is, oh, sorry, this here, I think I should write something wrong. Yeah, 2, 10, 18, and then we'll just do one more for checking. So, and then it should be minus 16. So the answer should be 26. Yeah. So we can see the order here is like 2, 10, 18, 26. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there are 10 groups. And then we have like 10 groups is like 4 numbers a group. We have 40 numbers, 1 to 40. So there's 10 groups. And then we have a number of sequence here after like summarizing all them. And then we will have like 2 plus 10 plus 18 plus 26. So as I mentioned that when we combine them all together, it will become 5 groups. It will become 76, right? 2 plus 74, 76. So there were 5 groups of 76, and the answer should be for 380. Yeah, this one is correct. I just calculated the answer a bit wrong. So the answer is 380 for question 11. So as long as you know, I understand this one is a relatively difficult one. It's like you need to understand the pattern, and also you need to divide it into different groups and then add them together. So it's relatively difficult. So let's move on. And then for question 12, what is the number that should fill in the blank if the equation below is correct? But I didn't see an equation here. Is this my problem? I'm sorry that I didn't see the equation here, so I might just give you the answer. The answer is 6, but I cannot. But there's no equation here, so I cannot. I mean, I cannot talk about it. I mean, if you could type the equation in the chat, that would be great. And I can see when we see how to solve it. But the answer for this one is 6. So I'm sorry about it because I can't see it right here. So there's no equation here. So for question 13, let's go to the number theory. The number below follow the arithmetic sequence was its 12th number. There's also no sequence here. So I mean, if any of you would want like a detailed explanation for question 12 and 13, please type. If you could, please type the please type the sequence or we type the equation in chat. If no, I will just give you the answer. It's 78. I'm sorry that I can't see it. So determine the result of this group of number is odd or even. So it's pretty easy. So just have 1 times 4 times 8 times 1 times 4 times x times 1 times 4 times 8. Or maybe you could just like this odd, it is odd. So odd plus odd. I mean, even plus even is even. And then this is even. So just give it. And then odd plus odd is even as well. So the remaining one is odd. So the answer is odd. Because like no matter like even plus even, so it will become even. So it does not affect the result. So, and when odd plus odd, it will become even as well. So when there's 2 odd, we could eliminate them out. And then for all the even numbers, we could eliminate out. If we eliminate all of the criteria as I mentioned, and there's still a number left, which is odd, the answer is odd. If there's no number left, then the answer is even. So it's pretty easy for question 14. And then for question 15, fill the lines with plus and minus to make the equation follow correct. So we have 5, 4, 2. That means there's like 11 at most. So this one is plus. Okay, I just type it wrong. It's plus. This one is minus. This one is plus. It's like plus 5. So the difference here is 3. We need plus 7 minus 4 is 3. So this plus minus plus. So this one we don't need to like explain like in details, but like it is pretty easy. So for question 16, if students have an even number of scores of mathematics tests in total, 3 children have an odd number and 3 children have odd, 3 children have even. How many children have even number of scores? So in this case, the answer is 4. Let me write that. This like when there is X students have an even number of score of mathematics tests in total, we in order to make the numbers, I mean, make the total numbers, I mean the total scores is even. That means we need to have 4 children have even numbers and 4 children have odd. Or in other words, maybe not 4, but maybe 2 is fine. But in this case, it's like imagine that there's like some sort of prerequisite here that 3 children have an odd and 3 children have an even. So that means at least 3 of them is odd and at least 3 of them has an even. So the only choice is 4 and 4. It's like 4 students with odd, and then when we combine together, they will become even as well, like the total score in the end. So that means there are 4 odd and 4 even. It's like when you have 4 odd, 8 minus 4 is 4. So there are 4 students with even. And then I understand some of the translation is really bad. So I'm sorry about it. And also it just hindered my understanding as well. For question 17, find the largest 4-digit odd number without repeated digits. So we assume that the largest one is 9 for the 1,000 digits, and then it should be 8 It's like there's no limit for the 100 one. We don't care about it. It's like it's not the unit digit, right? And then it should be 7. And then the last one should be 5. It's like in order to make it an odd number and without repeated digit, the largest number is definitely is 9875. So that's the answer for 17. And then for 18, how many two-digit odd number that is a multiple of 5 or is there or are there? So there might be more than one, or they may be less than, or there might be just one. So let me give you answer first. There's 9 of them. And then in this case, how many odd number? So we need to think about the multiple of 5. What is the criteria? The criteria is 5 or 0. So the criteria is 5 or 0, and 0 is not eligible. It's like it's not odd number, it is even number. So in this case, since it is even number, we understand that any number end with 5 and is odd number, and as long as it's 2-digit, it will satisfy the requirement. So we understand that for 2-digit, it will be like 15, 25, so vice versa, from 1 to 9. So there's 9. I mean, there are 9 2-digit odd numbers that are multiples of 5. And then for question 19, how many squares are there in the figure? So there are, of course, I mean, most of you get the answer correct. There are 11 of them. So I think I don't need to teach you how to calculate it. First, calculate the 1, and then calculate the 2. And I believe that's all. So for question 19 is 11 squares. For question 20, it's known that the length of two sides of a triangle is 7 cm and 8 cm respectively, and all lengths are integer. Find the maximum length of the other length. So for this one, since I don't know whether you have like studied the triangle inequality before, so there's some sort of inequality that there's a minimum that A, which is one of the sides, plus B must be larger than C. So that means if A is 7, B is 8, and C is like the number we can set, we don't know about it, but we know the maximum, and it will be 7 plus 8 larger than C. So C must be 14 in this case. Of course, you might say, why is not like 14 plus 14.99999? But I mean, we didn't like make it that tricky. So the answer is 14. So the reason is because of the inequality. If you don't know about it, you check it online. It's called the triangle inequality. And then 21st. That should be number 21. And then a print has 26 vertices. How many edges does this print have? So the answer is 39. And I believe for this one, I might not need to talk really in details. It's like, I think some of you might know about the, might know about how to find it or how to calculate it. Of course, if you want me to talk about really details, I don't mind you. But I mean, you just need to understand the formula, or maybe, I mean, there's like, is I don't know whether have you learned about it yet. But in this case, maybe you would just, yeah, I think you would just figure it out, like using the relation between edges and also vertex. So the answer is 39. And then just 1 second. So for question 22, just let me check. Look on chat. What question are there new? You could type in the chat or use, use mic.
Ano pong number na tayo?
You don't get 16. This one? Or which one?
Yeah,
I don't really.
15. Question 15.
Question 15 or 16?
16, 1 6.
This one?
Yeah.
8 students have an even number of scores of mathematics tests in total. That means we have 8 students right now. So that means we have 8 students. So there are multiple combinations. They can be all even. So the total score is even. Otherwise, it can be all odd. It's like when you have 8 students all with odd scores. For example, all of them have 1 score only, like their score is 1, each of them is 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So when we plus 8 times, it will become 8. That means when we have 2 odd number adding together, it will become even number. I believe it is pretty clear here. So there's a prerequisite. It's like we know that this is given that 3 children have a odd number of scores and 3 children have an even number of scores. So we know that, like, let's assume that we have like 8 students here. And then we'll have E, E, E. So it won't affect, right? And then we'll have O, O, O. But 2 O will become 1 E, right? When 2 odd number added together, we become 1 E. So the total score right now I will just write it here. So when we write score will be odd. And then the total score we want or given is even. So in this case, we still have 2 students' scores we don't know about. So the remaining 2 students can be O, O. Both of them are odd, or they can be like O, E. One of them is odd and one of them is even. And then it can be also E, E. But because like we want to change the result becomes even number of scores in total, right? So in this case, when we are having an odd, if we choose this one, actually it will just become an even, right? So even plus odd is still odd, so it doesn't satisfy the requirement. So we can eliminate this choice. For even plus even and then plus odd, it's still odd, right? So we can also eliminate this choice. And odd plus even plus odd, the answer will become even, right? So it satisfies the requirement. So that's why we understand that the remaining 2 students must be odd and even. So we know that when there are 4 odd and 4 evens, so it's definitely 4 children have even numbers of scores. So that's how we do it. Is it clear enough? So if you have no problem, I assume that you understand right now. So for question, let's move on. For question 22.
Sir, what is the answer? How do you solve number 20?
You mean the answer for number 20, right?
How do you solve number 20?
I mean, are you talking about the answer of question 20, right?
Yes.
The answer is 14. It's like, as I mentioned, the equation here, a plus b larger than c. It is a requirement. So we know that 7 and 8, we can substitute it into a and b. So a plus b is 15 right now, and c must be 14 at largest. It cannot be larger than 14. Otherwise, it will not be a triangle. You could try to draw it by yourself, or you could draw it like you said, the edges would be 39. It's like you need to have 1 extra edges to form the print.
23, I cannot do it.
Question what?
23.
23, right?
Yes, yes.
Just wait a second. We are going through 22. I will talk about it. Just 1 second. So for 22, how many cubes are there? I believe it's quite easy. 1, 2, 3. There's one hidden here. 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And of course, somewhat. Just 1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
23.
Yes? Excuse me?
I asked question 23.
Yeah. I'm going through 22. Could you just wait a moment? Because we are going one by one.
Sorry.
So there's 5 of them. Although there's 2 hidden here. 5 plus 2 plus 1, 2, so 4 plus 1, 2 plus 2, so there's 4. So it's already 13, and then plus 2 here. There's also 1 here. So the answer is 15. So you can count by yourself for this one. And then for question 23. So I would say you can try by yourself. The answer is 21. I will just give you answer first. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 triangles. And then how should we calculate it? First, you could draw one line first, and then calculate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5, right? And then you could draw 1 here, and then 1. And then 1 here. But this one will be repeated. You draw one line here, and then this one is 1 triangle, 2 triangle, 3 triangle, 4 triangle, and 5 triangle. So after you finish this 2 line, you connect with this 2, and then you try to draw from here. So this is repeated, so it's given 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here. Those 4 triangles. And then after finishing this 2, you just switch to the next one, so it becomes this 2. And then you keep continuing, and then until you find all the repeated triangles, and the answer should be 21. So in other words, you just try one by one. Try here, these 2 first, drawing a line between these 2, and then drawing a line between these 2, and drawing a line between these 2. And you may ask why we should not draw a line between these 2. It's in the end, even if you draw a line between these 2, instead of drawing one by one, for the neighbor, in the end it would be the same. It's it would just using the same points. It's we are going through all possible choices. Even if we go through just one by one, the dots by neighbor. So in the end, the answer would be the same. So it should be 21, and you could draw one by one. And then here we'll go through 24. There's the question. If no, we'll go through because we have limited time, so we need to go through a little bit quicker. For 23, you just need to I'm sorry about I can't really help you too much about it. So assume that we draw a line between these 2. I'm sorry that this one didn't really look connecting together. So assume that we have a line between these 2, and then we try to draw a triangle with these 2 lines with these dots, and then it will become 1 triangle. And then we draw with these 2. We just fix on these 2 spots, and then connect it to this one. It will be second, third, fourth triangle, and fifth triangle. After we finishing all the possibilities, we move on to here. So we draw a line between these 2 dots, and then we try to draw here. But you will realize that when we draw from here to here, when we have the line fixed here, and then we draw a triangle between these 3, and when we have line fixed here, we draw a triangle between these 3. So it would be a double count. So you need to ignore and you need to be aware of this. And then we try to continue on, just draw triangles that is not double count, and it will be our first one, second one, third one, and fourth one. So we keep on going, fixing the line, one of the lines of the triangles in these 2 dots, fixing it in here, fixing it in here, fixing it in here. And in the end, you just try to 5, 4, 3, 2, and then you might have more possibility choices. And then in the end, you will draw out all the possibilities and find the answer is 21. So you need to try by yourself. But the best way for you to do it is to fix one of the lines of the triangles between two dots first, and then try to see if it's repeated or not. So let's go on. Let's go through here. According to pattern shown below, what is figure in space provided? So it's a rectangle, triangle, circle, rectangle, circle, rectangle, triangle, circle, rectangle, circle. So you can see that it comes out with 5 of them. So five figure is one group. 5 figure is one group, and then 5 figure is one group, right? The pattern is like rectangle, triangle, circle, rectangle, circle, and then rectangle, triangle, circle, rectangle, circle. So in this case, we understand that it should be, this one should be triangle, just like it is the second one in the pattern. So it should be triangle for 24th. So let's go for the 25th. I'm sorry that we need to like a bit rush. So how many 2 digits are there? 8 plus 1 is not, so eliminate out. 7 times 3 is 21. So yes, one of them. So 1. 11 minus 3, no, it's 8. 21 divided by 3, no, it's 7. 6 times 3, no. 9 minus 4, no. 5 plus 6 is 11, yes. So there are 2 2-digit numbers here. For 26, I'll choose 2 digits without repetition from 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 to form 2-digit number. Of these 2-digit number, how many of them are odd number? The answer is 12. I'll give you the answer right now. And how to form it, you just try to form it one by one. But you need to, it's not that difficult, as long as you know that 3 and 5 must be in the unit digit. Otherwise, you cannot form the odd number, right? It's like 3 and 5 is odd, 6, 7 is not. So in this case, you must have 3, 5 in the odd number, in the unit digit, and then try it one by one and find the unrepeated one. So you'll find the answer is 12. So for this one, I'll give you the answer as well, 16. So it's the same thing. Choose 4 digits. So you need to use all of them, 0, 4, 7, 9, to form 2 digits number. What is the minimum value of the difference? So try to make the minimum value of difference. So in this case, you try to form 2 numbers that are the closest. So in this case, you may think, hey, how about 40 and 79? It is still large. So the best way to do it is like having the middle 2 one form a number, having the largest 2 one, the difference largest one form a 2 number. So it will become 74 and 90, and which is actually the smaller difference between 2 2-digit numbers, which is 16. So that's how we do and how we get the answer. For 28, I will just give you the answer first, 150. So how many 3-digit numbers have a unit digit that is larger than 4 are there? So when we have the unit digit larger than 4, that means we need to eliminate all number that has unit digit 4 or smaller than 4. In this case, 0 is not okay. 1 is not okay, 2 is not okay, 3 is not okay, 4 is not okay. So in this case, we need to start at 5. So the unit digit must be 5. And then no matter it's larger than, even if it's like 105, it will still work. So you understand that the digits should be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there are 5 choices for your unit digit. And then you just calculate one by one. It's like how many choices you can have for the, for example, for the 10th digit, it should be like around 10. And then how many digit you have like for the 100 digit, it should be 9. And then after times them together, 9 times 10 times 5, all the possibility, the answer is 450. So that's how we get the answer. That's mean how many choices do we have for each digit. So for 29, the answer, let me give you the answer for both of them first. The answer is 20 for question 29, and the answer is 4 for question 30. The answer for question 29 is pretty easy. 8 times 5 is $40 in total, divided by 2. she can exchange $22 coins, and then has three $1 coin, three $2 coin, two $5 coins. That means in total it is 3 plus 6 plus 10. That means 19.
Four.
Yeah. 19 divided by 4 is 4. Although there's remainder, but remainder is not important here. We just want to know how many cup cost to. I mean, how many cup she can buy at most. So it's 4. So that's all for today, and I believe if you have any question, you could stay behind and ask. No, that's all for today, and I hope to see you next week if we can. But I believe there's no opportunity, so I believe that's all for today. So thank you for coming, and have a nice weekend.